Join me now, representing Georgia's 1st District, Congressman Earl Buddy Carter. Thank you so much for joining me, Congressman. So, Congressman, I'll start with VP Kamala Harris and her behavior abroad. I mean, these are serious times, and she's out there just laughing hysterically, making a fool of herself.
And embarrassing the whole nation. This is certainly embarrassing. This is no way for our leaders to act. I mean, does she realize what's going on here? I really question whether she does or not. I happened to be in Munich a couple of weeks ago when she was over there. Same situation, you know, when she was speaking to the congressional delegation that was over there. She was cackling the whole time. I mean, it's just, it's unbelievable the lack of professionalism here and the lack of empathy that she's showing.
Exactly, and she's been called out for it so many times. And you think she'd learn or take some notes after this, or her team would get together and make it a little bit better, but she just seems to not be improving. And think about her responsibilities and duties when she was tapped to be the border czar, and how she didn't take that role seriously. And then they send her to be involved in this very dire situation and conflict. It's pretty bizarre. And then Biden just seems so absent.
Well, he does, but you know, I get people asking me all the time down here in the district and wherever I go, you know, why don't we impeach Joe Biden? Well, guess what's behind door B? I mean, holy cow! I mean, maybe even worse. So it really is a lack of leadership, and the world stage, they're on the world stage, and people see this. Other countries see this. We all know that China is watching right now, that Iran, North Korea, all of these countries are watching our response to what's going on in Ukraine, and their next moves are going to be based on what they see out of our country. And when they see this weak, ineffective leadership, this leading from behind, that is not good for the free world and certainly not good for the United States.
And there was a tweet that was deleted by Zelensky's former press secretary saying that it would have been a tragedy if VP Harris were to ever become president. I mean, that says a lot. People are watching.
They are watching, and you know North Korea is watching, you know China's watching, you know, and that's one thing about China. Everyone's talked about what's going to happen in Taiwan. I think we all realize and recognize that what's going to happen is that China's going to invade Taiwan. And now is the time for us to make sure that we are equipping Taiwan, that we're sending them the weapons that they need. We can learn important lessons from what happened in Ukraine. We could have avoided what happened in Ukraine if we simply had responded sooner. We knew this was going to happen. Now we know what's going to happen in Taiwan. That's why we need to be helping them out now.
You mentioned sending weapons, and there's been a back and forth with the jets that they were going to send to Ukraine. We originally heard that the Biden administration had given the green light on the jets to Poland, and then all of a sudden they changed their mind. And so there's just been a back and forth, and it's really confusing, and they need to be on message. They need to be on point.
Absolutely. And we need to be helping Ukraine any way we can. And certainly air power would be most welcome and probably most useful in Ukraine at this time. So, yeah, we need to look at this situation with Poland. We need to understand these MiG-29s, that they would indeed help Ukraine. And we need to try to help get them over there the best that we can.
Yeah, apparently more than 40 Senate Republicans at this point in time are calling on the Biden administration to send those jets, to give the green light on that. Do you think the Biden administration do you think they'll change their mind?
Well, I have to say that I've been encouraged that, first of all, they changed their mind on the boycott of Russian oil. And you know, it's never too late to do the right thing. So I want to give them the credit for that. They should have done it months ago. Should have done a number of things, but they finally did do the right thing. Hopefully this is the same scenario. Hopefully they will recognize that this is the right thing to do, and that they will help and assist with getting those MiG-29s over to Ukraine.
I wanted to play a clip for you. Still trying to get to the bottom of it. It was in regards to biological research facilities that are in Ukraine, apparently. Marco Rubio asked about this during a recent hearing. Let's take a look at the video and we'll react after. Roll tape.
Does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which, in fact, we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
I'm sure you're aware that the Russian propaganda groups are already putting out there all kinds of information about how they've uncovered a plot by the Ukrainians to release biological weapons in the country and with NATO's coordination. If there's a biological or chemical weapon incident or attack inside of Ukraine, is there any doubt in your mind that 100% it would be the Russians that would be behind it?
There is no doubt in my mind, Senator, and it is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
So, again, we don't want to push Russian propaganda on this show, but do we have any more clarity on what exactly is being talked about there?
Well, we need to have clarity. We need a full accounting of what is in the inventory over in Ukraine. Listen, we need to do everything we can to make certain that no chemical, biological, or nuclear weapons are used here. Everything that we can do. We need a full accounting of everything that exists in Ukraine right now.
Definitely. Now, I wanted to ask you about this. We're going to shift gears here. Apparently, a judge threw out a challenge from Republican lawmakers against the House mask mandate. As you know, many members didn't want to wear a mask. And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, the same people that were implementing the rules, like House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, she was caught not wearing a mask at the very beginning of the pandemic when we didn't know a lot about the virus, when she decided that she could go to the salon that was closed down. She didn't feel it was necessary to wear a mask. And then also, too, I heard from many people in Congress and others who work at the Capitol who would see these Democrats not wearing masks, but they weren't being fined.
Absolutely. And of course, you know that the Senate, they didn't have a mask mandate, but we had it over in the House. It was ridiculous. It's as if the virus stopped in the middle of the Capitol, and go figure. But the point here is that the Democrats with their mask mandates are trying to do nothing more than control you. That's all they want to do. These masks don't work. We've known this from the get-go. However, the mask mandate, that's what they wanted to implement so that they can control you. And I had a flight attendant call the office yesterday telling me that, look, this makes my job harder, and people don't want it, and the airlines don't want it, and the people wearing the mask don't want it. No one wants it except for the Democrats and the Biden administration because they want to control you.
Yeah, and some of these members racked up like thousands of dollars in fines. I don't think they should have to pay those, and they were taking them directly out of their salary, or will take them directly out of their salary. It's so unfair.
It is unfair, and it's wrong, and certainly I'm sure they're going to appeal the fines. I don't know how it would turn out, but they have every right to appeal those fines, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, and then it's just interesting, too. You don't hear a lot about COVID-19 anymore. Dr. Fauci's nowhere to be found. Have you seen him?
I have not seen him, and I hadn't been searching for him either, so.
I'm going to say I don't mind not hearing from him, but it is just bizarre. And again, we've talked about it on this show that there was no actual science that they were following to relax the mandates. It was all about political science because they were very worried about what the internal polling looked like and how the people were getting very fed up. And as you know, midterm elections just around the corner. Well, Congressman, we're going to leave it here. We appreciate your insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great